back. In this video, we're going to talk about wealth transfer. Remember, I told you that if you can accumulate wealth, preserve it, multiply it, but you cannot transfer it, it brings everything to zero. So this is very important. Now, transferring wealth is the mastery level. It's the highest point. Now, this is the point where you transfer the systems, the know-how, the knowledge of creating wealth to the next generation. The next generation could be your children. It could be the next people taking over. It could be anyone but the next generation. People often make the mistake to think that when you transfer, we've got lots of wealthy men that have died and their companies died with them. Their wealth, everything they've created went with them. Now, do not make the mistake of thinking that when you transfer assets to the next generation, to your children, that you've actually transferred wealth to them. No. Now, this is what's going to happen. If your children do not know how to accumulate wealth, transfer wealth, or if they don't know how to accumulate, protect, multiply wealth, and you've transferred an asset to them, what's going to happen? They're going to squander everything. Everything's going to go back to zero. It means you haven't done anything. That's why, especially in Africa, the father will die and children will fight over whatever the father has accumulated. The question is, if the children know how to accumulate, to preserve, to multiply, to create, they wouldn't fight over what their fathers left behind. The reason they're fighting over that is simply because they do not possess the capacity, the ability. They've not developed themselves to a point where they can create what their father created, something even bigger than what their father has created. So what will your children remember you for? Remember, you owe it to them to create something that would outlive you. So you need to show them the systems, the strategies that you have used to create wealth. Build a system that your children can inherit and grow with. The next question I'm going to put forward is, at what point should you start teaching your children how to create wealth? At what point should you start transferring wealth? Make no mistakes, it starts from the point of accumulation. When you start to accumulate, you start teaching your children, not just send them away, but you should get to understand how you accumulate. So when you get to the point of preserving, they understand what it takes to preserve and to protect, because you're teaching them, you're grooming them, you are coaching and mentoring them. When you begin to multiply, they see the decisions you make, they watch you, they learn from you. That's how you begin to transfer wealth. Okay, so it's not like there's a special time when you start to transfer wealth after you've accumulated and all of that. This is very important. To wrap up this part of the program, the series, we have a lot to learn. Remember, we're going to talk about the knowledge needed. What you must understand, that stage one, the primary stage, which is accumulation of wealth, you can actually stumble into it. In this part of the world, in Africa, in Nigeria, people sometimes get in political offices, they just find themselves somewhere where they begin to make money. But making money, chancing in on money or stumbling on money is one thing. But beginning from the point of protecting or preserving to the point of multiplying and transferring, you've got to be deliberate, you've got to be intentional, and it will require knowledge. It does not come by chance. So many people are poor and where they are because they think that wealth just comes by chance. It's just a thing of grace. It's just a thing of, God gifts it to you. I do not understand that there's a system. In most of my life classes, when I talk to people and I ask them, if your child wants to become a lawyer, what would you tell him? If he says, Dad, I want to become a lawyer, what would you tell him? And lots of them would tell him, I tell him to go to school, study hard, read hard, go to law school, graduate, and go serve. In Nigeria we have NYC, National Youth Service Corps. Go there, do your 1 year, and then find a law firm, practice, learn, and then set up your own. So there's a system, whether written or implied. But if your child walks up to you and asks you, Dad, I want to be wealthy, what would you tell him? And most of them would say, I tell him to read, study hard, find a good job, and raise a family. And I tell them straight faced, to them, I just tell them, and he will be broke. Going to school, reading, studying hard, they're all good. They just prepare you at the foundational level. But it doesn't take you to wealth. It also means that wealth creation to a large extent the knowledge of wealth creation has to start from the home. But how can you teach your children about wealth creation from the home when you yourself have no knowledge about wealth creation? So that's why the next video is going to take you step by step through the various forms of knowledge you need in order to create wealth, and hopefully it's going to set you on the right path to begin to take the right actions and eventually also teach your children. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again. Stay tuned for the next video where I will show you the various forms of knowledge you need to create wealth. And bye for now.